How we doing, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Getting Jiggly. I'm Will. Today we're looking at the heavy hitters that made it into the top 10 People's Choice for January 2026. Like every month, we scrape the rankings of Pub Meeple to see what you, the community, are actually rating highest right now. We saw some massive shakeups this month. We had a huge heavy hero tumble down the charts, a classic strategy game storm its way back into the top 10, and a battle for the number one spot that is getting tighter by the day. If you're looking at the best of the best, you found it. So let's start the countdown. New to the list and coming in at number 10 is Company of Heroes 2nd Edition. This is arguably the most faithful adaptation of a real-time strategy RTS video game that we have ever seen on the tabletop. The loop here is about the tactical maneuvering and resource point capture. You aren't just moving abstract cubes, you're moving squads of infantry, tanks, and mortars in a 1-to-1 scale. On your turn, you're spending action points to move units, upgrade them with specific weaponry, capture strategic points on the map, and increase your fuel, manpower, and munitions income. The core tension comes from the fog of war system and the reactive turn structure. You aren't just sitting there waiting, you can react to enemy movement as you have resources banked, creating a constant stressful back and forth that feels like a World War II skirmish. Why is it in the top 10? It cracked the top 10 because it fills a niche that no other game touches, the lifestyle war game. It's rated so highly because the production value and the tactical depth of the miniatures are functional, which turns this incredible toy factor. But beyond the plastic, the players voting this love the lethality. Mistakes are punishing instantly. And intense. It's visually sprawling, and for fans of tactical combat, it's currently the king of the hill. And at number 9, and down 6 spots from last month, is Galactic Cruise. So in Galactic Cruise, you're managing a luxury space travel company. It's a heavy worker placement game where the worker is actually your supervisor. On your turn, you place a worker to take an action like acquiring blueprints, building shuttles, or attracting guests. The twist, and the real brain burner, is that when you place a worker, you can bump other workers, including your own, to reactivate them later. You are constantly trying to build this engine where you construct a ship, load it with rich tourists, and physically launch it up this satisfying 3D track. Why it's in the top 10? Despite dropping 6 spots from last month, it's holding onto the top 10 because of its sheer table presence and the satisfaction of the launch turn. People rate this a 10 out of 10 because it feels like a Lacerda game, but with a more inviting, vibrant INO tool aesthetic. The economy is tight, but the payoff of launching a shuttle you spent 4 turns building is one of the best dopamine hits in modern board gaming. It's crunchy, but it's cheerful. Staying at the number 8 spot, we have Slay the Spire, the board game. This is a cooperative deck building adventure that translates the digital roguelike perfectly into cards. You and your friends pick a character, like the Ironclad or the Silent, and you climb the spire. The gameplay loop revolves around hand management and energy allocation. You draw a hand of cards, you see exactly what the enemy is going to do, thanks to a telegraphed intent system, and then figure out the puzzle of how to block that damage while dealing your own. The hook here is the mechanic for upgrades. When you upgrade a card, you're physically making your deck stronger as you climb. Why it's in the top 10? It solves the alpha gamer problem beautifully. Because everyone has their own complex hand of cards to calculate, you can't quarterback everyone else's turn. It's staying in the rankings because it's addictive. It has a quick setup, plays in about 60 to 90 minutes, and offers that just one more run feeling. It proves that a video game can work on the table if you respect the source material while adapting to the mechanics for physical play. At number 7 and down 5 spots is The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. This is the new heavyweight champion of solo and cooperative adventuring game. Utilizing Chip Theory's famous poker chips and neoprene mats, you're building a character from the ground up. The gameplay loop combines tactical grid combat and open world exploration. You're rolling a handful of dice to execute skills, but managing those skills on a cooldown track. You have to decide when to burn your best abilities, knowing that they won't be back for, several turns. You're traveling across Tamriel, delving into delves, and managing stamina and magicka in a way that feels true to the RPG roots. Why is it in the top 10? It's a lifestyle game in a box. People rank this highly because the character customization is practically endless. You aren't just playing a warrior, you're playing a high elf sorcerer with a splash of stealth and heavy armor. The production quality is bomb-proof, literally. It's expensive, it's heavy, and it's complicated. But for people who love it, it provides hundreds of hours of content without ever feeling repetitive. Coming back into the list this month at number 6 is Brass Birmingham. Brass is a hand management and network building economic game set during the Industrial Revolution. On your turn, you discard a card to build an industry, build a connection, develop, or take a loan. The core puzzle is that you need other players' resources, coal, iron, just to build your stuff. And they need to use your beer to, well, flip their tiles and score points. It's a symbiotic economy where you are constantly helping your opponents just so you can help yourself slightly more. Why is it in the top 10? Surge back in the top 10 because it is the gold standard for player interaction in a Euro. There is no multiplayer solitaire here. If you ignore what your opponent is doing, you will lose. It looks gorgeous on the table with the dark, moody art and the feeling of executing a perfect double rail turn, linking up 3 different cities, flipping 4 different tiles, is a strategic high that very few games can match. At number 5 and up 4 spots is Speakeasy. This is the latest Vital Lacerda game that takes on the Prohibition era. You're running a speakeasy in 1920s Manhattan. Now this is a worker placement game where the complexity comes from managing your heat, the attention you're drawing from the police. You'll need to hire mobsters to protect your operation and smuggle in booze, and upgrade your club to attract high society clientele. The game loop is incredibly tight. Every time you take a strong action, you risk increasing your notoriety, which can shut down all of your operations. You're balancing a greed versus safety in every single turn. Why it's in the top 10? This is skyrocketing up the charts because many people are calling it Lacerda's most thematic game. The integration of the theme, hiring muscle, paying off cops, serving customers, makes this heavy rule set easier to digest. It's sitting at number 5 because it rewards mastery. The first game feels overwhelming, but the third game, you feel like a criminal mastermind. It's heavy, expensive, but absolutely brilliant. Up 3 spots and coming in at number 4 is Ark Nova. This is being considered a modern classic. You're designing and managing a modern zoo. The core mechanic is the action card river. You have 5 card actions, build, animals, cards, associations, sponsors, sitting in slots 1 through 5. When you use a card, it's powerful if it's in slot 5, but then it drops to slot 1, becoming weak again. The loop is constantly timing that puzzle. Do I build my enclosure now for a weak effect, or wait 2 turns to build it at its maximum strength? You're also balancing 2 scoring tracks, conservation and appeal, that move in opposite directions on the board, and well, the game ends when they cross. Why it's in the top 10? It's replacing terraforming Mars for a huge chunk of the hobby. The combo potential here is massive. Playing a sponsor card that lets you trigger a break, which then lets you snap a card, which then lets you play an animal, it makes you feel smart. It has infinite replayability due to the massive deck of unique cards, and it scales perfectly from 2 to 4 players, well, and has a solo mode. It's simply one of the most satisfying engine builders, well, ever made. At number 3 and up 2 spots, we have SETI, which is the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. SETI is a heavy Euro that pays homage to hard science. You're exploring the solar system for signs of life. The standout mechanic is the rotating solar system board. The planets actually orbit as the game progresses, changing the cost and distances to launch your probes. You're managing a massive hand of multi-use cards that represent real-life technologies and missions. You use these cards and their events, or tuck them for passive income. You're launching probes to Mars or Europa, analyzing data and trying to find alien signals before your opponents. Well, it moved up to number 3 because it's fresh, unique, and challenging. The rotating board isn't a gimmick, it's a physics calculation you have to solve. People love it because it feels like a love letter to space exploration. It's complex, yes, but the theme of discovering alien life carries you through those mechanics. It's visually striking and mentally stimulating, and it feels very modern. Up 2 spots, and well, at number 2 is Dune Imperium Uprising. This is a standalone sequel to the smash hit Dune Imperium. It combines deck building with worker placement. You play a card from your hand to send an agent to the board space, and then gather spice, water, or troops. Uprising also ramps up the conflict by adding sandworms. These are massive combat units that double your rewards but require you to break down the shield wall. It also introduces spies, which allows you to infiltrate blocked spaces, fixing the one frustration most people had in the original game. The loop is a tight race to 10 victory points, where combat happens every single round. Why is it in the top 10? Well, it takes a 10 out of 10 game and makes it an 11 out of 10. The stakes feel higher in Uprising. The sandworms make combat terrifying. You can't just ignore the battlefield anymore. It creates these stand-up-at-the-table moments where a single combat card flip can determine the winner. It's interactive, it's brutal, and it captures that feeling of the movie perfectly. And holding its position as the king, at number 1 is the Castles of Burgundy Special Edition. This is the ultimate point salad game. You're a medieval aristocrat building your princedom. The loop is deceptively simple. You roll 2 dice, and you use those numbers to draft tiles, place them on your map, or sell goods. The magic is in the mitigation. You have workers that can adjust your dice rolls, so you never feel truly out of luck. You're trying to fill up colored regions of your hex grid to score massive bonuses. Every tile you place gives you a special ability, creating a snowball effect of actions. Why is it in the top 10? It's the greatest design of all time, giving a luxury makeover. The special edition took a beige, dry game and made it a centerpiece. But the reason it stays number 1 is that the gameplay is flawless. It is relaxing yet crunchy. It rewards planning but allows for tactical pivots. It is a comforting game at its absolute peak. If you own one Euro game, this is the one you own, and the Pub Meeple data proves it. There you have it, the 10 highest ranked games for January 2026. From the deserts of Arrakis to the speakeasies of New York, you guys are playing some heavy thematic stuff. I want to know in the comments, is Castle of Burgundy untouchable? Can anything dethrone it in February, or is it destined to stay number 1 forever? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this list, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any future ranking videos. Until next time, guys, peace.